So here we are again. I'm not going to lie about who I am. I'm not going to try and hide it. I'm not going to try and be something I'm not, because I feel like I've been living a lie. I feel like I take on these things, I absorb everything around me and I try it out. And yes, some things I'll enjoy and some things I don't. Some things will work out and some things won't. But what I'm trying so hard to do is find myself, find what makes me me, and what makes me happy. Now, it can be a great thing being a sponge and absorbing things from everyone that crosses your path. But it does get to a stage where it gets old. It gets to a stage where you feel like you're breathing someone else's air and it's not your own. I've come to realize this is where I'm at right now. I feel like I am living that lie, and I feel like I have a wall full of masks and I choose which one I want to wear now. In the past, I've tried to see how it could be beneficial, how I could change this into a way to help me proceed and be in this realm. But I want to work on the mask that I was born with, that came with me, my first original mask. I want to work on this mask that covers my shell. And the only way I know how to do that is to reflect and declutter. So this is where I'm at right now, is I walk into a room and I get overwhelmed with seeing how many things I have. That's why I moved into a van. That's why I decided to go from a big space into a little space to try and help me confine my life in a small place, in a little box that's neat on wheels and I can go anywhere. But what I find right now is, yes, I'm a collector. I collect things and I'll gather things up and I'll fulfill this space up to the brim. And it's almost like the challenge that I see now is to have space and to remain that space to be open and not have it cluttered with other things. The van is awesome. I love it. I love being on the road. I love having everything with me. But I know that there are other spaces that I have that are still cluttered. And I feel like I can't truly move on unless all my spaces are free of clutter. So I decided to come to my parents' farm, set up a bell tent, which gives me a little bit more space, just for sleeping. And so far it's been good. I've got a bed in there. I have a few little ornament things for like an altar piece. I have a few possessions, but all those possessions in that tent I feel a connection to them. I feel like we go out into society and we see all these things that we want and desire, but we don't actually need. And it's hard to determine what you need and what you want at that particular time. And I guess that goes back to fulfilling that feeling that you are experiencing at that moment of time. Will depict what you want and what you need. But that can be very hard when the feelings cloud your emotions. And if you don't even know what that feeling is or can be identified. I had a kid the other day at work come up to me and he goes, I just have this feeling inside and I just don't know how to express it. I don't know how to release it. And he was trying to find words to try and explain it, and he came up with the reasoning of that he missed his parents. which in reality, as we went further on, he was just so anxious from all the social environment of the camp that he got overwhelmed with all these other minds, all these other energies around him, and he got overwhelmed within himself. And I just told him to go for a walk. And allowing him to go for a walk, to take that time and that space to then just rethink and clutter his mind, helped him a lot. I told him he could go for a walk to the green little statue, and he asked, is that okay? Is that allowed? Is that going to be crossing boundaries? And I'm like, it's okay, I'm watching you, it's fine. He went on in his walk, and then he came back, and he said that he felt better on his walk, but the moment he came back, he still had these feelings. Now, I can understand those feelings and those emotions, because I too, when I walk into a room, I instantly acknowledge everyone that's there, and I can feel everyone that's there, and I can absorb or be affected by how many people are in a room. And if I'm not in a clear mind with a full cup, sometimes absorbing and being around people and experiencing those energies is too much for me, and I will react. And that reaction can be triggering for others. It may not be what you want, but we react. Another conversation I've been having with my parents is that our reactions come naturally to us, and sometimes we can't help it. We can't help how we react. It's just our body's way of expressing itself, because it doesn't have the words to communicate. And working on one's reactions, controlling one's reactions to be mindful of how it impacts others, is just another journey and path on its own. It's been nice just being able to talk and ramble, and it's interesting to talk and ramble and stare at a little black circle of the lens. I find myself in these situations where in the past I haven't wanted to talk about it. I don't want to open up. I write, but writing can only get me so far. So when I actually speak and hear myself talk, I can sink it in. You can tell yourself one thing, but you're not going to listen unless someone repeats it back to you. And I really feel like we as a collective need to start listening to our own voices and the advice that we give, because there's magic within it. So I decided to go through my old journals, and I value the fact that I have written in my past, and you know, when I was a little kid, even though it may be stupid little things, but you can learn from that. So my mission now is to go through my own papers to read, and reading is something that is I've avoided over time, but now I'm like realizing how amazing it is to read. So I'm rereading my own writings, and I'm finding things in there to kind of help me detect why I am the way that I am now. So I'm grateful that I did that as a kid. And some people might have not have, but that's okay. Like, it's never too late to start now. I can't imagine when I was writing down these words in the book that I was going to be reflecting it 6 years in the future and actually rereading it. Writing to me is a temporary release, and it feels so good. I write these pages today and think, wow, where will I be in 6 years' time for me to then reflect on these pages? So, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I guess I'm done. And now I just need to start ticking off the list. I got frustrated with myself yesterday on trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and something I told myself that I really value and acknowledge is to just go back to that last list I created and then start taking it off. And the first thing on my list is to declutter my container. My container is a space that is provided for me that has a collection of all my memories from when I was a childhood right down to little bub that my dad has saved and put in a container, which I'm so grateful for. I am the product of two sentimental people that like to collect different types of things, and I am their product anyway, so I won't get into that. But I am grateful for the space that my parents provide me, and the not only the physical space but also the internal space that they've held for so long, and I'm only just starting to appreciate that now. So yeah, right now I'm going to get that container done, get that container sorted, and stop beating around the bush. Allow myself that time. Allow myself time. Allow my fucking self time. I'm giving time to myself. Fuck everything else. I'm giving time to myself. Fuck you. Yeah! Woo! Alright. Catch you like that. Oh, fuck.